All right, before we get started, let me just introduce our speaker. This is webinar 87, Brazilian Biodiversity Access Regulation. João Hansen has over 40 years experience in the cosmetic industry, 38 at Avon, where he worked in quality, production, R&D, and regulatory affairs. He also joined the Brazilian Society of Cosmetology in 1986, serving as the president from 2013 to 2017 and regulatory vice president 2021 to 2023. Right now, he serves on the ABC advisory board through 2025. And today he's going to tell us about, Brazilian biodiversity. Welcome, João, and we will start your presentation here.
Thank you so much, Perry and Marilyn, for the invitation. It's an honor for me and for the Brazilian Society of Cosmetology to be here and speak a little bit about the Brazilian Biodiversity Access Regulation. It's here in São Paulo, you say boa tarde, good afternoon. Okay, so thank you so much for all the guys that are watching this presentation. Okay, I try to be as clear as possible. My English is limited, so it's sometimes I may pronounce some words that is not understandable, but okay, you can ask a question and hey, João, what are you talking about? So please help me on this, Nerley and Perry. So the Brazilian biodiversity, okay, is a huge country, but one important thing that I need to say is that everything that I say here, okay, is my personal interpretation of the regulation. It does not necessarily represent the point of view of the Brazilian Association of Cosmetology. Okay, it's very important. Okay, I have here Mara, I have Jadir from ABC. Okay, but it is João perception of the regulation and how I understand its works. Okay, so when we go to the Brazil, okay, it's a huge country. We have 8.5 million square kilometers, and you have a very clear biodiversity of biomes, okay, in Brazil, okay? We have the rainforest area, we have the Caatinga, we have the Pantanal, we have the Cerrado, we have the Atlantic forest. I'm going to talk a little bit with each one of them to give an idea the characteristics of each one of these biomes, okay? Starting with the first one, that is the Amazon biome. The Amazon biome, it has about 6.9 million square kilometers. It covers several countries, not only Brazil, but Brazil, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Guyana, French Guiana, and Peru. Brazil is the biggest part of this, over 4 million square kilometers is inside the Brazil for this. In the Amazon, you have over 2,500 species of trees and over 30,000 species of plants, okay, existing in the South America. The Amazon forest, everybody knows, is considered the largest tropical forest in the world. And its conservation is subject to a lot of discussion and for sure, due to the importance that the Amazon rainforest has to regulate the global climate, okay? One of the species that's very popular from the Amazon that is used in the cosmetic industry is the murumuru. It's one material, one plant, one palm that they extract from that the oil on the butter from murumuru to produce a lot of cosmetic industry. Of course, it's not limited to murumuru. There is a lot of ingredients very popular in the world, used in the cosmetic industry in the world, like cupuaçu, açaí, the Brazilian nuts that we call castanha do Pará. So there is a lot of ingredients today already researched and used in the cosmetic industry. Another biome that we have is Caatinga. We say that this is a unique, exclusive biome that it has only in Brazil. It's not shared in no other country. Okay, it has a very typical characteristic that is very dry and with a lot of rain, and the use of this very fragile biome, okay, for its due to its sustainable use of the soil and the natural resource of 100 years in the occupation, make the Caatinga very significantly degraded. So the preservation of Caatinga is really very important for this biome here in Brazil. One of the famous ingredients from the Caatinga that is exclusively from Brazil is the carnaúba. The carnaúba wax that is very used in several areas of the industry, not only in cosmetics, but in the medicine, electronics components. Okay? Carnaúba wax for use it like in lipstick, for instance, one big example that we have for use of the carnaúba in Brazil. The next biome is the Cerrado, is the second biggest biome that you have in Brazil. Covers several states of Brazil from the north to the central middle Brazil. Okay, this climate is very close to the tropical, and is similar to savannas. Okay. Yesterday, Mara and I we were in Brasilia in a meeting at Anvisa. Okay, that's very in the middle of the Cerrado. So there's a beautiful season there because it's a raining time. So we can see green grass there, and the trees are green. So it's a beautiful place that makes a warming in the rainy season. That's very interesting. And then one of the most popular ingredients from this biome, the Cerrado, is the pequi. Pequi is very used in the food to generate for cooking, but also the oil of pequi is used in cosmetic products as well. Okay, there are other ingredients from this biome that can be used for the cosmetic industry as well. And the Atlantic forest is very nice characteristics for this. That is cover almost all the East Brazilian coast. Okay, and for sure, as we have most 70% of the Brazilian population in this area. Okay, the Atlantic forest, for sure, during this over 5 centuries. Okay, this region was very strongly degraded by the colonization. Okay, but it's a mixing of beautiful areas with mountains, green waterfalls. It's really a beautiful part of the Brazil. Okay, but the forestation here is also very hard. I had a house in the beach, very close to one reserve area. Okay, that's beautiful, protected. So it's really, really very spectacular place. And one of the botanical ingredients that we have there that is very famous is the cambuci. Okay, the cambuci is an antioxidant that is used for several use in the industry, and they are still using for some disease that some claims are still not proven, but it's very famous here in Brazil as well. And another biome very popular in the world is the Pantanal. A lot of people from outside Brazil, from Europe or from US, comes to Brazil to visit the Pantanal. Okay, it's a very it's the largest food plain in the world. Okay, it has a very small area in Brazil and in Bolivia. Okay, in the state of Mato Grosso and the upper Paraguay as well. The characteristic of the Pantanal is because of this flood, it's a lot of water. Unfortunately, due to the use for this area to produce, I don't know the word, and to create the cows, the big farmers from cows, this area has been degraded a lot. So there is a lot of problem with this. And nowadays, with the rain, with the lightning, we are having a lot of fire in this area. So it's a very critical area for us as well. One of the botanical that you have from Pantanal is that called water hyacinth that uses in perfume composition, in fragrance oil composition for this, for the cosmetic products. And the last one is the Pampa biome. Pampa biome is the very south of Brazil, takes Brazil, Uruguay, a lot of part from the Argentina as well, okay? It's very flat area, okay? Many of the biodiversity is from grass, that is part of this biome, okay? Not too many stuff used in the cosmetic industry. There I have not identified no one so far, okay? But it's one of the areas in Brazil where also is used for the agriculture and for the creation of the cows, okay? Having said that, okay, I'm sharing here with you guys some pictures that we have from the Amazon River. On the left side, you can see the formation of the Amazon rivers. The Amazon River is formed by two rivers. One river that we call Rio Negro, or Black River, that is the dark color of the water, and the other is the Solimões River, that is the brown color of the water. So they join these two rivers and form the Amazon one. And this water does not mix for several kilometers until they be completely mixed. And this is the Amazon area, the normal. And the right is how it was today. This is a picture from late October this year. Okay, very dry season due to the impact of the El Niño. Okay, the last news that I heard is that in Amazon we are about 19 meters below the standard level of the water. So fortunately, we are starting the rainy season, maybe in a couple of weeks or before the end of the year, the river is going to return to the normal level there. On the other hand, you can see here in the south of Brazil, on the left side is the Iguaçu Fall, where will be our congress next year. This is the standard way they looks like. And this picture is how it looks like in a picture that was taken about 2-3 weeks ago with the high volume of water. So very big part of the Brazil area. We are completely flooded with some rivers being higher, 80, 90, 10 meters over the standard level. So again, this is how the impact of the climate, the change of the climate, or the global warming may be impacting this climate change here in Brazil. Okay. Having said that, Tim, what do you have? So the Brazil, the very big biodiversity that you have in all areas of Brazil, all biomes of Brazil. Brazil has a strong regulation, okay, to protect the fauna, to protect the flora, and also to understanding how the knowledge that was doing by the Indians and the people that lives in that region, that they learn and they can teach and they can be used for this. Having said that, the Brazilian biodiversity regulation started, we can say, in the Convention for Biological Diversity that happened in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, where in this discussion was created the Convention of this biodiversity, that there are three goals for that. The first one, for the conversion of the biological diversity, the sustainable use of these components, and the fair and equitable sharing of the benefits arising for the genetic resource. Based on that, okay, Brazil implemented in 2001 one regulation that is the 2186, that I can tell you was a nightmare for us to understanding, okay, to follow. It was a very gray regulation that nobody knows exactly how to follow that. A lot of penalties was input to the companies for not following this regulation, nobody understanding this very well. With the Nagoya Protocol in 2010, creates a little bit more elements for how the companies or how the countries should regulate the access to the biodiversity, the biological diversity. Brazil signed the biological diversity in 2014, but it did not ratify it at that time. It was ratified just in 2021. But with all this discussion, and the problem that we had with this regulation from 2001, the current regulation that we have in Brazil was put in force in 2015 with the law 13-123. Okay, and this law was regulated by the decree 8772. So today, someone that wants to go to Brazil or wants to use the Brazilian biodiversity must understand what this law means and what this decree means. So to follow this, okay. So I'm going to deep dive a little bit on this regulation to explain to you guys what they are all about. And several other points that was derived from these two regulations, okay, like the CIGEN creation, that electronic system that we need to use now to communicate the use of the Brazilian resource, okay, and 2017, one commitment term that for the companies that had not shared the benefits following the regulation from 2001, should to sign this commitment term, okay? And this 2023 is this Fund of National Benefits, where is the bank where companies is going to share the benefits that they gain by using the Brazilian biodiversity. So I'm going to talk in more details about that in the next slides. So one thing that we learned with more than 4 years working with regulatory, that it's impossible for us to know everything, okay? It's impossible. But if you know where to find the regulation, is the first step that it can make us achieve the information that you wanted to know. So in Brazil, for the Minister of Environment, okay, that regulates the regulations, all the law, is very easy to access the Brazilian biodiversity regulation, okay? It is in Portuguese, okay, unfortunately, but if you go to the website, and this website from the Brazilian Environment Minister, you can see this word assunto, that means subject. Then you go to the biodiversity, and then you go to the genetic heritage or genetic resource. By clicking here, okay, we will find all the information that you needed to know about this. So you can go to the electronic system that must be used to communicate the access to the Brazilian biodiversity or the acknowledgement and knowledge, okay? All the benefit sharing, how to do the benefit sharing. The regulation marks, frequent questions, that's very important. That's that the company has, they ask to the Minister of Environment, they answer this, okay? The Council of the Genetic Heritage Management, so this is the board where they created the regulation, created the normatives, okay, and judge all the penalties that the company may have is inside this council. And the publication, the regulation that we have. So by clicking regulation marks, you can have the two laws, okay, the law 13-123 and the decree 8772. So this is the law, it is say how to make this law happen. Okay, so I think what the most important part for you guys, unfortunately, is in Portuguese, but we can find, okay, the information that we need to meet the Brazilian biodiversity regulation access. Okay. So what says the law 13/123 in the decree 87/72? Okay, they say that they are subject to the requirements, okay, the following activities. First one, access to the genetic resources of heritage or associated traditional knowledge. Shipment abroad of genetic heritage samples and economical exploration of finished product or reproductive material from access to genetic heritage or associated traditional knowledge. Here, I emphasize the finished product, okay? And we're going to detail this a little bit ahead, okay? And then what are the genetic heritage? Are these species found in situ on the natural habitat or ex situ outside conditions? In the case of a domesticated or cultivated species in the environment where they naturally develop or they got their own characteristics, includes those that from a spontaneous population. So everything found in the Brazilian territory may be subject, okay? There is some trick here that I'm going to explain to you a little bit later. How do you know whether or not one material is really a local species from the Brazilian biodiversity? Okay, this is one of the key points, and that it creates a lot of doubts for people, but it belongs to Brazil, does not belong to Brazil, it's unique from Brazil, it's not unique from Brazil. This is one of the biggest challenges that we have. And the other, bigger than this, is understanding why or how one material is associated to a traditional knowledge. How do you know, for instance, that angiroba, okay, used in a product that can help the mosquito repellent, was used in the past by the Indians as a mosquito repellent in the Amazon area. So another thing that's more complex that you need to understand how to get the information so that you can be sure that the raw material there that you are using, the formulation that you need to share benefits, okay, are really one genetic resource for the Brazilian biodiversity, or is an associated traditional knowledge for some community or some people that knows this function for centuries, okay? So trying to answer the first question regarding where to find whether or not one breed belongs to the Brazilian biodiversity, you guys can access this website, okay, Flora and Funga from Brazil. Fortunately, this you can find in English, okay, so you can, by clicking there, you can type the scientific name of this resource, you can type the common name for this ingredient, and you can see there whether or not it's belong or not to Brazilian diversity, and then you can judge whether or not you need to share benefits, or can make all the notification to the system to make sure, okay, we are following the regulation. So who can access the Brazilian biodiversity? This is another very important question, okay? So first of all, the Brazilian natural or legal person. What I mean is, so João Hansen, myself, I can access the Brazilian biodiversity, okay? One company that is located in Brazil, a multinational company located in Brazil, can do this, okay? And the foreign entities as well, okay? But they must be associated to one Brazilian resource institution, okay? So that's very important, okay, to know this. And when you make this access, and if you do this access or research using the genetic verification or the associated traditional knowledge, results in a commercial product. Both the Brazilian natural or legal person or legal entity associated with the National Research Institute must notify the product as CGEN through the CGEN system. Okay, so complicated. I'm going to clarify a little bit this ahead. Okay, What is this XEN system? XEN is an electronic system maintained and operated by the Executive Secretary of CGEN, that is the board that regulates, so that it controls all the access to the Brazilian biodiversity. Okay, so what this system is all about? So with this system, you can register of the access of the genetic heritage or the associated traditional knowledge. Okay, register the genetic heritage shipping samples and the material transfer agreement. Authorization to access the genetic heritage or associated traditional knowledge. Okay, the accreditation and maintain the institution of ex situ collection contains samples of genetic heritage. And again, okay, finish product notification or reproductive materials and the benefit sharing agreements, and the certify of the regulation. Again, I'm talking about the finished product notification. Why am I talking about this? Okay, because this is where, how the companies need to make the benefit sharing. But before going to this, here I put one example that I did, okay, with one fruit that I have here in my backyard that we call Via, just to understand how the system, the CGEN system works. So I have here my login. That is my ID, my Brazilian ID. So this number is my one. Just João Hansen has this number here in Brazil, and here my password. So going to this system, I can add all the information that we need to do in order to be able, or in order to inform the CGEN that I am accessing a resource from biological diversity in Brazil. Okay. One example of this, here I need to thank my dear friend Ana from Solabia in Brazil. Solabia is an ingredient manufacturing industry with the headquarters in French. Okay, so she makes the access, okay, of one botânico, ginseng brasileiro. Okay, Solabia Brazil identify this material, they submit it to Solabia French, and they develop one raw material named argen. Okay, so they documented this, they shipped this. So as a result of the shipment, okay, Solabia developed this material, argisens, okay, with this INS name, okay, from here and all the benefits. So any company from raw material in Brazil or outside Brazil that is associated with one Brazil Institute of Development must follow this process. Okay, I tell you, this is the easiest part of the system. Okay, I think I have some critics about this, how Brazil decided to make the benefit sharing, but the way we communicate to the government, okay, how I am access the Brazilian biodiversity, I think this is the best in class that we have so far. Okay, it is easy, it is relatively simple, okay, to get the information. Then we go to the system, you can follow without any doubts, clear, without having a risk to get some penalties by not following the regulation. So it is crystal clear what the companies has to do. Okay, so be a local company, associate, international company, associated with some local company, okay, communicated this, access to CGEN, get the number, okay, ship abroad, okay, and when shipped abroad, develop the product. So remember that I talked that the finished product is going to show the benefits. How material companies that in the past regulation from 2001 could share benefits, so most of them used to share benefits or have a partnership following the regulation. Now they are not obligated to share benefit. Okay, they use some companies for sure that their own projects to preserve the biodiversity. Okay, but by law they are not obligated to share benefits. Okay? So, who can share benefits? The benefits will be due when you occur an economic exploration of the finished product. Okay? And the component of a genetic heritage or associated additional knowledge should be one of the main elements of added value. Okay? Another question, what is added value in a cosmetic formulation? Okay? Example for that, so I have one body lotion or one face cream that has about 30 how ingredients on the formula. Okay? How we can prove or say that is this one element that belongs to the Brazilian biodiversity, it will be the element that's crucial to add value to the formulation. Okay? And another thing that they say, one technical orientation of a dosing of a technical orientation that you have here at the system, okay, that it will not consider key elements of the added value when the ingredient used as formula structure, responsible for its stability, consistency, or physical aspect, and does not determine its functionality. On the other hand, okay, if you use the material and it is part of the marketing appeal, you must share benefits. Let me give you an example. Let me be talking about the carnaúba wax. Normally, carnaúba wax is used, one example that I know very well, using lipstick, okay, together with other wax, microcrystalline wax, or candelilla or wax, or paraffin, okay, to create the structure of the lipstick. Okay? Theoretically, this carnaúba wax, there is no crucial function, okay, for the functionality or added value from the functionality. But if I say in my copy, my lipstick has carnaúba wax, I must share benefits. Okay? So, based on this, okay, what we expect that this regulation should motivate the companies, cosmetic companies, to use the Brazilian biodiversity. They are, let me think about that. So, if this is not one crucial element that is going to add value really to my product, okay, that I'm going to make more money for this, I'm not going to use. Okay? I remember in 2017, I made this presentation, close to this presentation, at the Suppliers Day in New York. Boy, people almost accuse me, hey, João, what's going on? I praise for, no, it's not me, it's regulation. So you guys must pay attention for the final industry from that produces the cosmetic product, put on the market, okay? How to use, if really the ingredient that they are using the formulation is critical for the product performance, okay? Because you may use some stuff, promote some stuff that when you make a trade-off, is not to be a good thing, okay? So who should share the benefits? Is the manufacturer of finished product. Here there is another thing, right? Several companies use not to have a manufacturing site. They used to go to third-party manufacturing here. So, for instance, João has a company, okay, that sells finished products. I developed the firm, but I have no manufacturing facility. So, I third-party manufacturing this. By the law, who must share the benefits? Not João. It's the manufacturer, but the formula is mine. So this is one thing, another, that when you third-party manufacturing a product, there's some agreement between both parts to make sure who is going to share the benefits, the manufacturer or the formula owner. So this is one thing that is still in a gray area that must be an agreement between both parts, okay? But by law, okay, I had a friend here, Luis Marinello, that is a good friend from ABC, that he always give class about that. He's expert on this. He always emphasizes is the manufacturer. The law says the manufacturer. So what you must say is that is the manufacturer that should share the benefits. Okay. And what is that are the values? How much we should share? Okay, based on the regulation. Okay, we should share 1% of the net revenue arising from the product commercialization. Okay, to a national fund that is administered by the government. This national fund, Jim, was just be live this year, early this year in 2023, okay? Or 0.75% for a non-monetary project directly invest in the community. So you can pay 1% to the fund or 0.75% in agreement with the community, okay? When you go to identify with traditional knowledge, okay, 1% to pay to the fund, okay? When you go to the traditional knowledge, identify traditional knowledge, 0.5%, or negotiate with the community. In other words, okay, every single finished product that a company put on the marketing, making money, okay, 1% of the net revenue, or 0.75 or 0.5 must be paid, okay, according to the regulation. And this is one thing that, okay, I'm going to use the Brazilian biodiversity, but it's just to have some beauty on the formulation, say that you use it, but no performance is expected regarding this product. Oh, why I'm going to use and pay this? If you compare this benefit sharing with other countries in the world, okay, I think Brazil is the only one that are charging the final product. Okay, I was in Colombia a couple of years ago when they are discussing about the benefit sharing. They said, no, here is how I'm going to manufacturers that's going to share. Okay, so it's still, okay, one of the, I think the biggest challenge that we have, or one of the things that are still, João Hansen again, are not comfortable with this way that Brazil choose, okay, to get the benefit sharing. Okay, but again, it is law, and the law we must follow. There is no other alternative. Okay, so make sure the companies that make business here in Brazil, okay, has that. The other more complexity on this, according to the Nagoya Protocol, okay, so if raw material that comes from the Brazilian biodiversity, okay, and is our natural resource is manufactured outside Brazil, okay, it must be paid the benefit sharing as well. So I'm going to give you an example. So I work for a multinational company that has facility all over the world. So one form of development using a Brazilian resource is now manufactured in Australia, okay, or in Poland, okay, and sold in Australia, sold in Europe. So we need to share benefits from the net revenue. How to control this? Okay, so there is a lot of stuff. It's still not clear, okay, how this regulation, okay, will cover all the products that are manufactured outside Brazil that use the Brazilian resource, okay? And this national fund by sharing benefits is where you need to make the deposit of the benefit sharing from 1% up to 0.1%, according with the agreements that we made for that. So everything that we access that generate a finished product that is with the Brazilian biodiversity ingredient, okay, and this is added value, okay, in the formulation, or we use this as a promotional, the company must share the benefits, okay? So This is one important piece of this regulation, but not less important, guys, are the sanctions. So Brazil is expert to create sanctions, and very severe sanctions if you are violating the law. So there is, if you go to the regulation, the 13.123 or the 87.72, there is a lot of sanctions that the companies or people that violate it can be penalized. Okay, here I put some examples of that. So warning, fine, surgeries, or samples contain access to generic accreditation, or everything of a violation, product obtained from the information or associated tradition, everything that do not follow this regulation, we can have the penalties. Okay. Can have temporary suspension of the manufacturing, embargo of the special activities, partial total interdiction of the establishment, and so on. So a lot of things can be applied. But the worst thing is, okay, are the values that you need to pay. So you need to pay a lot of money depending on the level of the inflation that it was made to access the Brazilian biodiversity. Okay. And the penalties range from 1,000 to 10 million reais. Today, you can see the exchange rate from dollar to reais is 5, to make simple the math. So from $200 to $20 million. So it's a lot of money. Okay, so it's a craze. Okay, that's one of the reasons that companies must really pay attention, okay, understand the regulation to avoid to be penalized by the fines that may have. And to tell that Brazil is very, I say, smart on this, so IBAMA is making inspections to the companies in operation that they call Terra Brasilis to verify, okay, whether or not the companies are following the regulation, okay? So they started this at the beginning of this year, okay? And several companies had a problem, okay, and they were not following the regulation, and for sure, they are applying all the sanctions in this company. So they are looking to this, they are looking what's going on. Okay, so again, companies must really pay attention, okay, whether or not they are following completely the regulation. Again, it's easy to find, okay, I talk here about the tip of the iceberg, okay, about the old regulations, information that you have. I strongly recommend you guys, okay, when you receive this presentation, you can see easily the access to the Ministry of Environment and sites, so you can go in details for each one of the explanation, the regulation that we need to follow, okay, here in Brazil, okay? So, one of the best situation that IBAMA was finding, okay, in terms of fails to meet, the user does not have the register, or the first step of the process to make the register at the CGN system, or does not make the deposits of the patents before registering, or fails to share benefits, are users who publish the research without registering, okay, or the user launch the product and the market without registering the notification. Okay, so examples not limited to this, okay, but if you launch a product, okay, using the biodiversity and not make the register, for sure, we are going to have a problem, okay? So I think this all about the regulation that we have, okay? Now I'd like to invite all of you, okay, to watching the video that we have for the next IFSCC Congress that will take place in Brazil in October next year. So, Perry, if you can put the video on the screen, I think.
house is huge, as big as a continent. We have 6 beautiful gardens. We call them biomes: Amazonia, Pantanal, Cerrado, Caatinga, Pampa, and Mata Atlântica. We have natural resources and technology to explore them in a sustainable way. And we work hard to keep the balance between progress and preservation. We have a lot of people living in this house, all races and colors, living together in harmony in our beautiful home. It is all about our diversity and our biodiversity. You may have already heard about us. Our people, our culture, our sports, our food, our architecture. My house has a name. It's called Brazil.
Welcome to Brazil. ABC, home to the Brazilian Cosmetology, invites you to the 2024 IFSCC Congress, which will take place in Foz do Iguaçu, land of the Iguaçu Falls, one of the new 7 wonders of nature. The IFSCC Congress theme is Biodiversity and Cosmetics, Reaching Sustainable Technologies. Let's exchange ideas and discuss how to live in harmony with nature, how to use resources with responsibility and develop technology for a better life. This is what we expect for the future. This is sustainability. For the future of my home, for the future of our home.
All right. Well, thank you for that very interesting discussion and talk. And we've got a number of questions. So I'm going to have to put on my glasses for this. I guess I'm getting older. Okay. Our first question comes from Richard. It says, what challenges have you encountered in dealing with difficulties in research seeking to access and utilize biodiversity resources?
I think one of the difficulties that we can find here, okay, is to, when you go to the decision system, we have a lot of information that must be added on the screen of it, okay? So where is the location that we found? Okay, if there is any acknowledgement associated with the culture from the people. So I think this is the hardest piece that you can have for this, but it's very achievable, all right? So when you go to the beginning, okay, see, it's a lot of information that we need to do, but as I showed to you for Solabia, so it's factable, it's clear what you need to do, okay? Just take a look there and gather the information that we do this. So, one example for this, Perry, is the universities, okay, where most of the research are doing. So teachers and the researcher guys, they must identify this, must make all this access and, okay, give you all the information that you have there. I think this is the biggest challenge that we have today.
Okay. Lambros wants to know, it says, it seems to me that one should stay away from using BBD ingredients. Is that not detrimental to the Brazilian economy?
Maybe. Okay, one conversation that I had with people, some friends that produce raw material, I usually prefer to share benefits myself than the finished product. So again, in my personal opinion, right, this is not motivating, okay, the final product industry to use the biodiversity. Because, as I say, how can we associate, Perry, you're a developing guy, that you one formulation, the benefits is associated to only one ingredient.
Right, yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. So it's a combination of everything. It's not a medicine. Okay, you talk about some antibiotics, some anti-inflammatory things. That's great. But when you talk about the cosmetics, the 40, 50 different ingredients on the formulation, how can I say that the acai using the shampoo at the 0.1% is the critical ingredient to add value to the formulation? So it does not motivate people. So as a developer guy that I used to be, does not make sense.
Right.
So another thing is, you see, what is the cost of this raw material in the formulation, right? 0.0 or 0.5% or 1%, right?
Right.
Okay. And the total cost of the product with the formula, packaging, filler, overhead, blah, blah, blah. So we are going to pay 1% of the net income for everything. That's amazing. Huh?
That is a bit of an ask. Yeah. All right. Anna wants to know, she says, does a company that distributes raw materials and sends samples outside of Brazil that contain items of Brazilian biodiversity, do they need to register with Sysgen, or is it the responsibility of the manufacturer to register?
No, the manufacturing of the raw material, if they had access, okay, they must notify this and then follow the procedure to ship abroad for another fellow outside Brazil. Okay, it's mandatory to do this.
Okay. Let's see. We had a question from, I think this one comes from Stefan. It says, following situation, a plant where the original origin is unknown and is growing for decades or centuries all over the world in tropical regions, but is listed in the Flora e Funga do Brazil. If we make a cosmetic active ingredient from this plant grown in Europe, do we have to consider any ABS regulation in Brazil?
This is a very good question, Perry, Diana. The point is, when you go to the system, they are going to show this is native or not native or endemic in Brazil. Okay. Mm-hmm. By this information, okay, you can see whether or not this product is considered or not a local resource from Brazilian biodiversity that acquires specific characteristics. So it's a challenge again, okay? One of the regulation that you have, or the notes from IBAMA, from Sysgen, is they have some list of ingredients that is considered Brazilian, that got the Brazilian local characteristics on that. So does not happen much. It's not a big list for that. But in this side of the flora, okay, by sea, it's native or typical from Brazil or unique from Brazil. It's much easier to understand. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Let's see. Richard he asked, can you provide an example of conflicts that have arisen due to restricted or limited access to traditional knowledge associated with biodiversity in Brazil?
This is a hard question for me because it's not easy, right? I give you one example, like I think andiroba. It's an insect repellent used by natives, by Indians before thousands of years ago, right? Yeah. So how can we go to the community to make this? I thought I have no experience. Most of the things that I tell, I have experience. I never had this experience when I work, okay? To see how I'm going to understand or know whether or not one raw material is associated with some traditional knowledge. Okay, it's one of the hardest part of the regulation for me. Okay. I'm sorry, but I have no one good question for this. I apologize for that.
No problem. Lambros had it. We got a few more minutes. Lambros had a couple of questions. Like one was, how do you define a finished product? So if company A processes an ingredient from BBD, is that a finished product? Or company B uses something from product A? Are they both now finished products? So how would you define that according to the
finished product? That the product the consumer buy on the drugstore, buy in the supermarket, buy by the internet, that they get home and use at home. A shampoo, a lipstick, a face cream, body lotion, and so on. So this is the finished product. Every single SKU that you use on raw material that belongs to the natural resource for Brazil or the traditional knowledge, okay, regarding this tradition, okay, must share 1% or according to the regulation, the benefits. Okay, this is what finished product is all about. Okay, it's not the raw material. Raw material used to produce the finished product that we feel. So when we buy, this is one cosmetic product. Okay,
right?
Use this, buy this. Okay, company makes money with this. 1% of the net income should be shared.
Ah, all right.
Okay.
That's pretty amazing, because I think of, I know there was I used to make shampoos, and there was a raw material supplier that would sell you a concentrate, and you could take that concentrate and then, add some water, and now that's a shampoo. So you're saying the concentrate wouldn't be subject to these regulations, but that finished product at the end would be only.
It depends on what are inside this concentrate. Okay, if this concentrate has one material that's resourced from the Brazilian biological diversity, okay, and you claim this, okay. Let's see. This concentrate is a palm oil. That's a palm oil from the Asia area, Philippines. Okay, it's a very strong resource. So you make some active ingredient for that, okay, from the palm oil, okay. From the Philippines palm oil, maybe you should share the benefits for that. Brazil has not the palm oil to use for this, okay. So that's one thing, right? Maybe I use the glycerin from the fat from the animals, right? So this glycerin may be considered a local resource for typical species of cow that we have here. So there's some complexity on this. But another example, you made a shampoo, but you have this base, you put water, let's put some promotional ingredients, okay? This promotional ingredient is acai. So now a 0.1% of acai extract, okay? This acai extract, I'm going to put a big picture of acai on the copy, right? The label, beautiful. You should pay benefits. You should share benefits. Clear? I cannot be more clear than this, right?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. All right, I see we're at the top of the hour. I'm just gonna finish with one last question. This sounds like some very complicated tracking stuff to figure out what ingredients are from where and such. How is it going to be implemented like that? How are they going to keep track? Do you see, is technology going to be used for monitoring this kind of thing?
You say the monitoring from the government?
Yeah, the government or even industry or
the thing. Again, as regulator guys that work for many years, so everybody that is in business must know the regulation.
Yeah.
Okay. So ABC has doing a tremendous work every single year in every Congress to talk about the Brazilian biodiversity regulation. So the companies that are member of ABC, the companies that the people that attend your Congress, Brazilian Congress of Cosmetology, okay, they know about the regulation. Okay. So there are two pieces for me in the regulation that is important. The first one, that's the easiest one, and the good one. Today is very clear. You enter the decision system and notify and make the register for the material that you are accessing. This is the first piece. This research that you made with this may generate or may not generate one intermediate product that is the raw material, like Solabia did. Okay, but it's generated raw material, and Natura, Boticário, or João's company is going to use this raw material And this raw material will be crucial to add value from my product. I need to share benefits for that. Okay, so this is the logic behind this system. Okay, easy to access, easy to ship samples abroad for technological development, develop the raw material with this material, okay, with the claims, with the mixing, okay. Then the company buys that and it's very rare, Perry, a finished good company like Avon, L'Oreal, develop the raw material by itself. They have partnerships. They may research this, but say, okay, I'm going to have this new fragrance oil, okay, for this species from Amazon plant, okay, but Givaudan is going to produce this oil for me, right? So Givaudan produce the oil with this material, with this olfactory notes, send it to me, I put this in my formula and sell this. So me as a company using this material developed by Givaudan, I'm going to share benefits. Givaudan does not need to share benefits about this, but Givaudan may have their sustainable projects in Amazon. Does not avoid the way of forcing him to not to have this. Okay, they may have.
All right. Well, this is some very interesting stuff, and it's certainly going to impact people in the future. Thank you so much for today's talk, João. That was excellent. Mary Lynn, welcome back. And we just wanted to say thank you all. We're going to be back with the Ask the Formulator in 2 weeks, so you can get your questions, your formulation questions answered by real product formulators. That's in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. And of course, don't forget to check out the Congress in Brazil next year. That's next October.
One important of this Congress, that the subject will be the biodiversity, right? So understanding, and for sure we're going to have some opportunity of some guys speaking about the Brazilian biodiversity and all the people that goes there. For sure, we can have the ABC team, myself, Marinello, Jadir, that can help you guys outside to understand a little bit about your regulation. Okay. Again, it's not easy. I think it's unique. I don't know other countries' regulation that's similar to this in Brazil. Okay, this is unique, but you need to pay attention to that. Okay.
So there were some questions we didn't get answered, but if you have a question, Mary Lynn is going to send out an email, a follow-up email. He'll have João's contact information, and you can contact him directly. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. See you in Brazil next year. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Hello and welcome to another IFSCC webinar. This is webinar 87, if we're counting correct. We started the webinar series back in April of 2020, and we're going, we've done 3 years of webinars, and we have a big back catalog. And if you are an IFSCC member, you can go back and watch that big catalog. Well, today we have an exciting talk for you. Today's is going to be about Brazilian biodiversity and the regulations of that. So we have a speaker, João Hansen from Brazil, and he will be talking to us, and we're going to start that at the top of the hour. But hello, everybody. If you're just joining us, feel free to say hello and let us know where you are from. We always like to find out who's going to say hello first in the chat.
Oh, it's going to be me.
We got 4 people already online. Oh, now we've got even more people online. Well, welcome. All right, enough chatting for me. Let's find out what everyone else is up to. João, you are located in Brazil right now?
Yes, I'm in Brazil, in São Paulo City. In the Interlagos neighborhood, close to the Formula 1 race track. So 5 minutes of walking from my house. So
now, which part of Brazil? Is that the north of Brazil or south of Brazil?
It's southeast of Brazil, okay, in the middle, okay, of the more or less in the middle, in the ocean coast, right? So the São Paulo.
And it's a lot of people, at least in the United States, a lot of people mistakenly believe that Sao Paulo is the capital of Brazil. Well, we know it's all Brasilia, right?
Brasilia is the capital for Brazil. São Paulo is the most important state in terms of financial, right? In São Paulo, we are about 40 million inhabitants. Okay.
40.
Wow.
40 million inhabitants. Brazil altogether, we are 210 millions, right? And São Paulo is a little bit more than 40 million.
Yeah, Brazil is one of the bigger countries in the world. What I guess, let's say it would be China, India, or they kind of gone back and forth, and then I think U.S. and then maybe Brazil's fourth, huh?
I think you have Russia, Canada, U.S., China, and Brazil. I think we're the fourth and the fifth biggest country in terms of year. We are 8.5 million square kilometers, the area of total Brazil.
Wow.
It's huge.
Okay. How
many people live in Rio?
In Rio, I think in Rio, it's not more than 15 million people.
Okay.
Right? It's smaller than São Paulo is. I'm not sure, but I will confirm. Okay, how many have? It's easy when you have a Google.
Oh,
okay,
sure.
You can ask
I'm looking at a map to see where everything is.
Yeah.
Well, while you guys look that up, let's say hello to Mara, who has checked in from Brazil. Hello, Mara, all the way from Sao Paulo.
Mara, we worked together about 35 years at Avon.
Wow. Okay.
She's now here to see whether or not I'm going to make some stupid questions or make some stupid things.
Well, I'm sure she's going to ask a hard question. And we also have Richard checking in. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
From Manila, the Philippines. Also a capital city there, Manila. Well, if you are just joining us, this is our 87th IFSCC webinar. The topic is going to be Brazilian biodiversity and the regulations involved in that. Now, Brazil, probably more than any country in the world, has a biodiverse environment, right? You have a number of different sections of the country, anywhere from forest to desert, right?
Not so desert like desert means, right? But it has some very dry areas, mainly that you the biome that you call Caatinga. I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
But we have 6 biome very, very well defined in terms of their characteristics. Okay.
Yeah.
Brazil, I think, it has the biggest biodiversity in the world comparing. Okay, if you get the Amazon area, when you have Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Bolivia, and the Guyana, so all the area that makes the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest, right? Brazil is about 70% of this total part of this biome. I'm going to explain a little bit about the biome before going to the hard part. That is the regulation. So this is the hardest thing. So let's talk a little bit about what is going on in Brazil.
Well, we will certainly cover that at the top of the hour. We're going to get started. Right now is just our general chit-chat before we get started. Now, also, one of the reasons that we have you on today is because next year's IFSCC Congress is going to be held in Brazil.
Yes, we are working very hard. Vânia is the president of this Congress here. Indeed, tomorrow we have the ABC, Brazilian Association of Cosmetology, the director board. And the part of this is talking about the IFSCC, what's going on there. I am the financial guy for this Congress, so I'm taking care about the money.
Good.
So we need sponsors. We need to pay the bill.
If you're interested in sponsoring,
everyone that is interested.
João.
But be in touch with Vânia. Vânia is the seller lady from this Congress, so Vânia is going to make all of this stuff. So I just got the numbers.
Or you could easily contact Mary Lynn here. She loves to hear potential sponsors.
Yes.
Speaking of hearing from, we've got Tamara checking in all the way from Argentina, capital Buenos Aires.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, the Congress is going to be held near Argentina. So
yes, in the border between Brazil, Argentina, and the Paraguay.
I think we're having dinner one night in Argentina.
Yeah, so
probably,
if you're interested in visiting 3 countries in one trip, this will be a great time to do that.
Yeah, we have there the Itaipu electric usine that produces electrician. That's amazing. It's one of the biggest of the world. So it's beautiful if you have a chance to make an internal visit in the turbines, it's spectacular. It's amazing.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And also the waterfalls, the animal place that you have there. So it's a very nice city. Very nice.
Excellent. And Mara just told us 6.7 million people in Rio.
In Rio de Janeiro, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. We have Laura checking in from Mexico. Hello.
Hi, Laura. Laura Guzman, I bet.
Yeah. Well, welcome, and we're looking forward to having you on this talk. All right, we've got just about 5 minutes before we're going to get started. And before that, I always like to find out a little bit about the speakers and how they got involved in the industry. So, João, how did you get started in the cosmetic industry?
Oh, it's a long story. So it was about it.
Well, we got 5 minutes.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, when I decided to study chemistry, I decided I need to go to work in a chemistry industry. So I started as a temporary worker at Bayer in Brazil. In the next side of the street of the Bayer, there is a company, a cosmetic company named Yardley of London. Mm-hmm. So I started there, 1977. But my dream always was to work for Avon. Because when I was very young, teenager, 11, 12 years old, I saw the Avon building facility be built in São Paulo that was very close, 5 minutes walking. And I attempted several times, and finally in 1979, I joined Avon and stayed there for 38 plus years, working in all areas, quality assurance, in manufacturing, supply chain. And my last roles there was director from Latin America, from research and development and the regulatory affairs. So it was my passion and the company that I have in my life, the experience I got by working for Avon, where I made a lot of friends. You can see in the back in the wall here a picture of some friends from Avon playing golf in the United States. So every time I go to Suffer and there are R&D meetings, we met these guys and they play golf during the weekends and then go to work. So I'm very grateful for Avon, for the other opportunities they gave it to me, Avon gave it to me, and the fortune that I'm here with all the experience that I have in the regulatory, manufacturing, supply chain, is doing this work that I did with Avon.
So when you were a boy, they built the Avon facility 5 minutes from your house?
It was just, there is a facility, a river in my house in the top of the mountains, 5 minutes walking. If I'm going to take a bus to go to Avon, it's far than go walking there. So it was, this facility was starting operation in 1975.
Now, before you started working here, did you have a background in chemistry?
Yeah, I'm in chemistry, industrial chemistry, okay? And they're working in manufacturing, everything. So I used to be, that we call in Brazil, the technical responsible, the guys that sign all the documentation to go to Anvisa to get the approval for a cosmetic to be sold in Brazil. So I was involved in this regulatory piece since 1986. I was involved in all the regulatory pieces in Brazil. Mara, that is here also, we together are involved. We can say that every single regulation in Brazil since that time has my finger and the Mara's fingers to help to build the regulation. So We are the guilty for the mistakes as well.
Now, I'm curious. You've been in the industry a fairly long time. What do you think has been the biggest changes that you've seen since when you started till now?
Technology.
Yeah.
Technology. So when we started with the body lotion and body cream in the 60s, is different from the 70s, from the 80s. And I think the big change during the 90s with the alpha-hydroxy acid, overall these very strong claims and very big performance to deliver to the consumer. So at this time, where the regulation needs to be changed to accommodate the claims that are made. And now I can say that the definition that we have for cosmetics today, right, is something challenging for us because we are developing more robust claims, more aggressive claims that maybe is not considered cosmetics, it's just considered dermatological products. So we are in this barrier now. So it's one thing that we need to think, how can we review this definition and how the cosmetic industry can work on this? You guys in the US has the OTC, that is a little bit different definition, but at the end of the day, for us here is cosmetic like sunscreens or antiperspirants, okay? So that's something that we need to change. So, but the biggest difference is, and those technology for packaging, everything. So
sure.
big improvement on that.
Yeah. Well, before we get started, I see we're almost at the top of the hour. I want to say, Mate, she checked in. Hello. Welcome. We got Eliana checking in from Brazil and Alaska.
Wow.
Brazil.
Oh.
Wow. There you go. I did not know there was an Alaska in Brazil. Or I mean, Alaska does go pretty far south. So maybe, it's interesting about Alaska. Just before we get started, in the United States, it is both the farthest north, the farthest west, and the farthest east state in the whole country. I'll let you ponder that. We say hello to Ahmad from Jerusalem and Jadir from Brazil. All right, hello everybody, and look at that, top of the hour. Marilyn, why don't you take it away?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, number 87, Brazilian Biodiversity Access Regulations with João Hansen of the Brazilian Society. He's our first presenter in preparation for the IFSCC 2024 Brazilian Congress. So, very quickly, what is the IFSCC? We're the International Federation of Societies of Cosmetic Chemists. We started with 8 societies. We now have 51 societies covering 81 countries. When you join your country's Society of Cosmetic Chemists, you get the following IFSCC benefits for free. You get to watch this webinar series and the replay on ifscc.org. You get the IFSCC magazine published digitally 4 times a year. Access to Cosmet, our proprietary cosmetic science database. You can find all the articles from the IFSCC magazine since the year 2000 and papers from our conferences and congresses since the year 1995 in Cosmet. At ifscc.org, you can find the recordings of these webinars and many reference books, textbooks, and articles, many of which you cannot find anywhere else. You can attend virtual events held by our member societies, and you get a discounted registration to the IFSCC Congress. Speaking of which, next year in Iguaçu Falls, Brazil, October 15th through 17th, super early bird registration is open now, and the abstract submission portal is open until the end of January. Our next webinar is in 2 weeks, December 19th for most of you. We're bringing back our very popular series, Ask the Formulators. Perry will be one of the formulators, and we'll be joined by Matt Zeller of 3V Sigma from the US. A big thank you to our over 70 benefactors from around the world. It's their generous support of the IFSCC that allows us to keep this webinar and our many benefits free for every of our members. And yes, you will receive a recording of today's webinar via email, and João just gave us permission to include the copy of his slides, so you'll get everything. That's us, the IFSCC, supporting cosmetic science and scientists around the world.